Welcome to this transformative guide where we delve deep into the 7 habits that can elevate your life to a new level of effectiveness. Whether you're a student, a professional, an entrepreneur, or just someone that wants to learn this wisdom, these habits, when practiced consistently, will enhance your productivity, improve your mindset, and help you become the best version of yourself. Each of these habits is grounded in timeless wisdom, practical psychology, and real-world strategies. By the end, you'll not only understand what makes highly effective people different, but also have the tools to integrate these habits into your daily routine. Habit 1. Start the day with clear intentions. Picture this. You wake up in the morning, grab your phone, scroll through notifications, check emails, and glance at the news. Before you know it, an hour has passed and you're already feeling frazzled, distracted, and behind on your schedule. You haven't even had a chance to set your intentions for the day, and yet you're already engulfed by the demands of the world around you. Sound familiar? This is how most people start their day, reactively responding to the external world instead of proactively deciding how to shape their day. Now, imagine an alternative approach. What if, instead of diving headfirst into the chaos of incoming messages and tasks, you took a moment to pause, breathe, and intentionally plan your day? Highly effective people understand the power of mornings and make a conscious effort to start their day proactively by setting clear intentions. They treat those first few moments as sacred, a time to take control of their mindset before the world imposes its demands on them. They don't let themselves get swept away by urgency or pressure. Instead, they make a deliberate choice to anchor their day with clarity and purpose. By doing this, they create a mental buffer that helps them stay focused throughout the day. Instead of starting in a state of reaction, they begin from a place of empowerment. This deliberate act of setting the tone for the day ensures they remain focused and grounded amidst the inevitable distractions and stresses that arise. Without such a foundation, it's easy to become overwhelmed and lose sight of what truly matters. They don't let the flood of notifications or to-do lists dictate their mood or actions. Instead, they carve out a few minutes in the morning to reflect on what truly matters that day and mentally prepare for potential challenges. This doesn't mean ignoring responsibilities or avoiding tasks. Rather, it's about aligning your efforts with your core priorities. It's about asking, what are the most important things I need to accomplish today, and focusing on those. This practice helps you filter out distractions and ensure that your energy is directed toward meaningful progress. When you start your morning with intention, you reduce the mental clutter and decision fatigue that often arise later in the day. Even just 5 to 10 minutes of mindful intention setting can lead to significant improvements in productivity, focus, and emotional well-being. This simple yet powerful practice allows you to enter the day with clarity, confidence, and a sense of control over your life. It shifts your mindset from, I have to do everything, to I choose what to focus on. Consider this. If you take control of your mornings consistently for a week, you'll notice a dramatic shift in how you approach your daily tasks. You'll feel less overwhelmed, more in charge, and better equipped to handle whatever comes your way. You'll also find yourself becoming more proactive, less stressed, and more aware of how you spend your time. Over time, this habit builds momentum, turning into a cornerstone of your personal and professional success. It's not just about getting things done, it's about creating a life you're in control of, one morning at a time. As soon as you wake up, spend 5 to 10 minutes reviewing your goals. What are the top 3 tasks you need to accomplish today to move closer to your bigger goals? Close your eyes and visualize yourself completing these tasks. This primes your brain to focus on what matters. Create a to-do list. Write down your top priorities and tackle the most important one first. Let's say you're working on a big project at work. Instead of jumping into emails first thing in the morning, decide that your first task will be working on the most critical part of the project. This way, even if the rest of the day becomes chaotic, you've already made significant progress. Starting your day with clear intentions increases focus and reduces decision fatigue. The Stoics believed that clarity of mind is essential for a good life. By beginning your day with purpose, you embody this ancient wisdom. Habit 2. Practice deep work. In a world filled with endless distractions, where notifications constantly demand our attention and multitasking is often glorified, the ability to focus deeply on a single task has become an increasingly rare yet invaluable skill. Deep work refers to the ability to focus without distraction on cognitively demanding tasks for extended periods of time, enabling a person to produce high-quality work efficiently. It is what separates average performers from high achievers, as it allows them to engage in tasks that require problem-solving, creativity, and deep thinking. Set aside 2 to 3 blocks of time each day where you work on important tasks without interruptions. During these sessions, turn off your phone, close unnecessary tabs, and let others know you're unavailable. Work in 25 or 50-minute intervals, followed by short breaks. This technique, known as the Pomodoro technique, helps maintain focus without burning out. By cultivating deep work as a habit, individuals can drastically improve both the quantity and quality of their output. Unlike shallow work, tasks that are logistical in nature and can be completed while distracted, deep work demands your full cognitive capabilities. When you engage in deep work, you enter a state of flow where time seems to fly by and your productivity soars. This state not only leads to better results, but also enhances personal satisfaction as you accomplish meaningful progress on challenging projects. Moreover, deep work boosts your confidence because it allows you to see tangible progress on tasks that truly matter, giving you a sense of achievement. In today's fast-paced environment, the ability to practice deep work is increasingly becoming a superpower because most people are overwhelmed by constant interruptions. Social media, emails, and instant messaging platforms fragment our attention, making it difficult to focus for long periods. Those who master the discipline of deep work set themselves apart by being able to create value that others cannot replicate easily. They don't merely complete tasks, they solve complex problems, generate innovative ideas, and develop skills that require sustained concentration. Furthermore, deep work has a compounding effect. The more you engage in deep, focused work, the better you become at it. Over time, this leads to significant personal and professional growth. Whether you are a student preparing for an important exam, a writer working on your next book, or a professional handling a complex project, developing the ability to practice deep work consistently will propel you towards success in ways that scattered, shallow work never could. As you develop this habit, you'll notice that tasks that once seemed daunting become more manageable and your capacity for sustained focus increases. This improvement doesn't happen overnight, but with regular practice, it becomes a defining trait of your work ethic. Additionally, deep work cultivates a sense of purpose. When you engage deeply with your tasks, you connect more meaningfully with your work. This connection fosters intrinsic motivation, making it easier to persevere through difficult challenges. Over time, this intrinsic motivation transforms into a driving force that keeps you striving for excellence, even when external rewards are not immediately apparent. Ultimately, deep work is not just about getting more done, it's about mastering your craft and making meaningful contributions to your field. It requires discipline, but the rewards are well worth the effort. Those who prioritize deep work find that they not only achieve more, but also experience greater fulfillment in their personal and professional lives. The ability to focus deeply is a competitive advantage in a world that is constantly vying for your attention, and by cultivating this skill, you set yourself on a path toward long-term success. Imagine you're a student preparing for a crucial exam. Instead of multitasking or studying with distractions, you dedicate a 2-hour block to studying without any interruptions. You'll find that you retain more information and finish tasks faster. Deep work is essential for producing high-quality results in less time. By mastering this habit, you tap into a level of productivity that most people never experience. Habit 3. Embrace continuous learning. Highly effective people are lifelong learners. They understand that growth is a continuous process, and the moment you stop learning, you stop growing. This habit involves staying curious, seeking knowledge, and constantly improving your skills across various aspects of life, whether it's in your professional field, personal development, or even hobbies. Learning doesn't always have to come from formal education. It can be as simple as engaging in meaningful conversations, exploring new topics online, or taking up a challenging new hobby. Consistently embracing new knowledge ensures that they are always equipped to handle change, make informed decisions, and contribute meaningfully in any situation. Furthermore, embracing this mindset means being proactive about seeking out new opportunities to learn, such as attending workshops, joining interest groups, or finding mentors who can guide their growth. Read daily. Aim to read at least 10 to 20 pages of a book every day. Focus on books that improve your knowledge or skill set. Use commute time or workout sessions to consume valuable content like this channel and this video you are listening to right now. Actively seek feedback from mentors, peers, and even failures. Treat every experience as a learning opportunity. Staying curious allows highly effective people to remain open-minded and adaptable in an ever-changing world. They don't just seek knowledge for its own sake, but apply what they learn to solve real-life problems and innovate. This commitment to learning keeps their minds sharp and helps them stay ahead in their careers. They regularly push the boundaries of their comfort zones, which leads to continuous personal and professional growth. Curiosity-driven exploration opens up new pathways, whether it's finding a more efficient way to complete tasks, developing new strategies to overcome obstacles, or discovering entirely new interests that can evolve into passions. Curiosity also fosters empathy, as lifelong learners are often willing to engage with perspectives that differ from their own, enriching their understanding of the world. Moreover, effective learners know that feedback is a crucial part of the learning process. They actively seek feedback from mentors, peers, and even their own experiences. Instead of viewing mistakes as failures, they see them as opportunities to improve and refine their approach. This mindset fosters resilience, adaptability, and a deeper understanding of their chosen fields. Constructive criticism becomes a tool for betterment rather than a source of discouragement, enabling them to learn faster and avoid repeating the same mistakes. Additionally, they learn to differentiate between constructive feedback and mere criticism, focusing on what can help them grow while disregarding negativity that offers no value. Lifelong learners also embrace the idea of collaborative learning. They understand that learning isn't an isolated endeavor, but one that thrives in interaction with others. Whether through networking, engaging in team projects, or participating in discussions, they leverage the collective knowledge of their communities to expand their own understanding. This collaborative spirit not only accelerates learning, but also fosters strong relationships and a sense of shared purpose. Being part of a learning community provides a support system that can inspire greater persistence and motivation, especially during challenging times. Collaborative learning also offers fresh perspectives and insights that an individual might not have considered alone. Lastly, lifelong learners often cultivate diverse knowledge bases, which allows them to connect seemingly unrelated ideas and foster creativity. By continuously exposing themselves to new information and experiences, they develop a well-rounded perspective, making them more effective problem solvers and decision makers. Over time, this habit not only enhances their competence, but also boosts their confidence, creating a virtuous cycle of growth and improvement. Additionally, by integrating knowledge from different disciplines, they become adept at cross-functional thinking, a skill highly valued in complex problem-solving scenarios. This broader perspective not only sharpens their analytical skills, but also fuels innovation, as they can draw on a wide array of insights to approach challenges in novel ways. As they gain mastery in multiple areas, they also increase their ability to collaborate across departments or fields, making them invaluable in a multidisciplinary environment. In essence, lifelong learning isn't just about acquiring facts or ticking off books read. It's about cultivating an insatiable curiosity and using that drive to enhance every facet of life. It turns each day into an opportunity to grow, ensuring that no experience is ever wasted. Through this relentless pursuit of knowledge, highly effective people build a future where they are always ready to seize new opportunities, adapt to unforeseen circumstances, and inspire others to follow suit. Over time, this habit creates an upward spiral of development, leaving a lasting impact on both personal fulfillment and professional success. By continuously expanding their horizons, lifelong learners not only enrich their own lives, but also contribute significantly to the growth and well-being of their communities. The Stoics, like Marcus Aurelius, emphasized the importance of continuous learning. By cultivating this habit, you not only grow intellectually, but also build resilience in the face of change. Habit 4. Cultivate a Stoic mindset. Life is unpredictable and challenges are inevitable. What sets highly effective people apart is their ability to remain calm and composed in the face of adversity. This habit is about developing a mindset that focuses on what you can control and letting go of what you can't. They understand that while external circumstances may be beyond their influence, their inner world, their thoughts, reactions, and emotions are entirely within their control. By consistently practicing this mindset, they cultivate emotional stability and mental clarity, which helps them navigate even the most turbulent situations with poise. Highly effective individuals train themselves to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. They pause, assess the situation, and choose a course of action that aligns with their long-term goals. This ability to maintain perspective in the midst of chaos stems from a deep understanding of the Stoic philosophy, which emphasizes accepting what is beyond one's control and focusing on one's own behavior and thoughts. They often remind themselves that while they cannot control external events, they can always control their internal narrative, how they interpret and respond to those events, which is crucial for maintaining inner peace. Another key aspect of cultivating this mindset is building resilience. Instead of being overwhelmed by setbacks, they view them as opportunities for growth. They ask themselves, "What can I learn from this situation?" and use those lessons to improve. Over time, this approach helps them develop a stronger sense of self-efficacy and confidence in their ability to handle future challenges. Resilience is not merely about bouncing back, but about bouncing forward, using adversity as a catalyst for personal development and transformation. Moreover, they practice mindfulness and gratitude to anchor themselves in the present moment. Mindfulness helps them stay aware of their thoughts and emotions without being consumed by them, while gratitude shifts their focus from what is lacking to what they have. This combination fosters a balanced and composed mental state, allowing them to remain effective regardless of external pressures. Regular mindfulness practice strengthens their ability to stay calm under pressure, while gratitude rewires their brain to focus on the positive aspects of life, reducing stress and enhancing overall well-being. In essence, this habit is not about avoiding difficulties, but about facing them with grace, strength, and a sense of purpose. It transforms adversity into a stepping stone for personal development, empowering highly effective people to thrive in an ever-changing world. They learn to see challenges as temporary and solvable, which not only boosts their confidence, but also inspires those around them. Over time, this mindset becomes a core part of who they are, enabling them to lead with clarity and composure in all areas of life. Spend a few minutes at the end of each day reflecting on what went well and what didn't. Ask yourself, what was within my control? Each morning or evening, write down 3 things you're grateful for. This shifts your focus from what's lacking to what you have. Imagine worst-case scenarios and how you would handle them. This Stoic practice helps reduce fear and anxiety. Let's say you face criticism at work. Instead of reacting defensively, take a moment to reflect. Ask yourself, is this within my control? If it's constructive feedback, use it to improve. If not, let it go. Cultivating a Stoic mindset builds emotional resilience and clarity. It allows you to navigate life's ups and downs with grace. Habit 5. Execute the 80-20 rule, Pareto principle. The Pareto principle states that 80% of results come from 20% of actions. This concept underscores the importance of focusing on the most impactful tasks rather than spreading yourself too thin. It highlights that not all tasks are created equal. Some yield far greater outcomes than others. Highly effective people excel by identifying the few critical activities that yield the greatest outcomes, ensuring their time and energy are spent where it matters most. Regularly review your tasks and identify the ones that produce the most value. Don't waste time on activities that don't contribute to your goals. Delegate or eliminate them. Measure the outcomes of your efforts to ensure you're focusing on the right tasks. Instead of attempting to tackle everything on their to-do list, they prioritize the tasks that directly contribute to their goals. These key tasks often have a disproportionate influence on results. For example, closing a high-value deal, delivering a crucial presentation, or solving a major problem. By narrowing their focus to these essential activities, they maximize their productivity and achieve superior results with less effort. This prioritization ensures that their limited time and resources are used to create maximum impact. Additionally, they regularly review their work to ensure they are consistently focusing on high-impact tasks. They ask themselves, what activities provide the highest return on my time and effort? This ongoing reflection helps them refine their priorities and stay aligned with their objectives. They also track their progress to determine if the tasks they're focusing on are truly delivering the expected results, making adjustments when necessary. By adopting this approach, highly effective individuals avoid the trap of busyness for its own sake. They recognize that being busy doesn't always equate to being productive. Instead of confusing activity with productivity, they channel their efforts into tasks that drive real progress. This habit not only improves efficiency, but also prevents burnout by eliminating unnecessary work and stress. Furthermore, focusing on high-priority tasks helps them maintain a better work-life balance as they achieve more in less time. Moreover, by mastering the art of selective prioritization, These individuals create room for innovation and strategic thinking. They understand that constantly being occupied with low-value tasks limits their ability to think creatively and strategically. By freeing up mental space and time, they can explore new opportunities, brainstorm ideas, and work on long-term projects that contribute to significant growth. This forward-thinking approach ensures that they not only meet immediate deadlines, but also build a sustainable path toward future success. Ultimately, the Pareto principle is more than just a time management tool. It's a mindset. It teaches highly effective people to focus on what truly matters, enabling them to achieve extraordinary results while preserving their well-being. By consistently applying this principle, they develop a habit of working smarter, not harder, ensuring they remain at the top of their game. If you run a business, analyze which products or services generate the most revenue. Focus your efforts on improving or expanding those rather than spreading yourself too thin. By focusing on the few key actions that matter, you achieve more with less effort. This habit maximizes your efficiency and effectiveness. Habit 6. Prioritize health and energy management. Your health is your greatest asset. Without physical and mental energy, it's impossible to perform at your best. Highly effective people prioritize their well-being because they understand that sustained effectiveness requires a healthy mind and body. They recognize that maintaining peak performance isn't just about working harder. It's about ensuring their body and mind are in optimal condition to handle challenges effectively. This means not only engaging in regular physical exercise, but also paying attention to their mental, emotional, and even social well-being. Exercise regularly. Aim for at least 30 minutes of physical activity 3 to 5 times a week. Get quality sleep. Ensure you get 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night. Good sleep improves focus, mood, and overall health. Practice mindfulness or meditation. Spend 5 to 10 minutes a day meditating or practicing mindfulness to reduce stress and improve clarity. If you have a demanding job, maintaining energy levels is crucial. By incorporating short walks, healthy snacks, and proper hydration into your day, you sustain your energy and focus. Physical health is foundational to sustained success. Regular exercise boosts energy levels, enhances mood, and improves cognitive function. Whether it's a brisk walk, a gym session, or a yoga class, highly effective people integrate movement into their daily routines to keep their bodies strong and agile. They understand that physical fitness doesn't just impact their body, it sharpens their focus, boosts creativity, and enhances resilience. Beyond structured workouts, they find ways to stay active throughout the day, such as taking short breaks to stretch or walking during meetings, which helps maintain consistent energy levels. Beyond exercise, effective individuals prioritize proper nutrition and hydration. They fuel their bodies with nutritious meals that sustain energy levels throughout the day. Staying hydrated is another critical element, as even mild dehydration can affect concentration and productivity. By making mindful choices about what they consume, opting for balanced meals rich in vitamins, minerals, and healthy fats, they ensure they have the physical stamina to tackle demanding tasks. Additionally, they often prepare meals in advance to avoid unhealthy last-minute food choices, ensuring consistency in their nutrition. Equally important is mental health. Highly effective people invest in practices that promote mental clarity and reduce stress. This includes activities like meditation, journaling, and spending time in nature. They understand that a calm and focused mind is essential for making sound decisions and maintaining emotional balance. By proactively managing stress, they prevent burnout and maintain a positive outlook, even during tough times. They also recognize the value of seeking support when needed, whether through therapy, coaching, or simply confiding in a trusted friend or colleague. Sleep is another non-negotiable factor for highly effective people. They prioritize getting 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep each night, knowing that rest is essential for recovery and optimal brain function. Adequate sleep enhances memory, improves mood, and boosts overall productivity. They cultivate a bedtime routine that promotes restful sleep, such as limiting screen time before bed, practicing relaxation techniques, and creating a calming sleep environment with minimal light and noise. Moreover, they understand the importance of social health. Building and maintaining strong relationships contributes significantly to overall well-being. Spending time with loved ones, engaging in meaningful conversations, and being part of a supportive community can reduce stress and foster a sense of belonging. Highly effective people make time for social interactions, knowing that a well-rounded life includes nurturing personal connections. Ultimately, prioritizing health isn't just about avoiding illness. It's about creating a foundation for peak performance in every area of life. Highly effective people recognize that by taking care of their physical, mental, emotional, and social well-being, they enhance their capacity to achieve their goals, maintain high energy levels, and enjoy a better quality of life. This holistic approach to health ensures that they remain not only productive, but also fulfilled, balanced, and ready to tackle new opportunities with enthusiasm. Prioritizing health isn't just about longevity, it's about performing at your peak every day. Habit 7. End the day with reflection. Ending your day with reflection helps you learn from your experiences and prepares you for a better tomorrow. This habit fosters self-awareness, gratitude, and continuous improvement, creating a positive feedback loop that enhances both your personal and professional life. Reflecting on the events of the day allows you to identify what worked well and what could have been done better, offering valuable insights for future actions. Moreover, taking time for reflection encourages a mindset of gratitude. By acknowledging the small wins and moments of joy throughout the day, you cultivate a more positive outlook on life. This practice not only boosts your mood, but also improves your resilience, making it easier to handle challenges that come your way. In addition to fostering gratitude, reflection helps with continuous learning. Every experience, whether a success or a setback, carries lessons that can inform your future decisions. By regularly reflecting, you strengthen your ability to adapt, grow, and improve over time. This habit also enhances self-awareness, allowing you to understand your emotional responses and thought patterns better. Furthermore, ending the day with reflection provides a sense of closure. It allows you to mentally process the events of the day and clear your mind, setting the stage for restful sleep. This mental clarity not only improves the quality of your rest, but also helps you wake up feeling more prepared and focused. Spend 5 to 10 minutes reflecting on your day. What went well? What could have been done better? Acknowledge even small victories. This builds confidence and motivation. Write down your top priorities for the next day. This clears your mind and ensures a smooth start. If you're working on a big project, reflect on what progress you made today and what needs to be done tomorrow. This practice helps maintain momentum. Ending your day with reflection helps you stay grounded and aligned with your goals. It's a powerful way to close the day with intention. Adopting these 7 habits requires consistency, patience, and commitment. Start with one habit at a time, gradually integrating each into your daily routine. Over time, you'll notice significant improvements in your effectiveness, mindset, and overall well-being. Remember, highly effective people aren't born that way. They become that way through intentional habits. Begin your journey today and watch as your life transforms. What habit will you start with?